Okay, I'm a professor in oceanography, and I work on fisheries oceanography at the University of Hawaii. And I'm very involved with different groups with handicap issues and accessibility.
Uh-huh. And you, of course, the computer is so central to your life that it's almost impossible to imagine living without it.
Well, I have multiple sclerosis, and I'm paralyzed from the neck down. I can't move my arms or my legs. And so all my input, at least into my world in oceanography, goes mainly through the computer. And people are pretty much amazed because they don't understand how I can even communicate with a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping tonight that I can shed some light on that.
Well, we really appreciate your coming. Now, you have visited many of our public schools, because why?
Well, I've been working with Aloha Stack, Special Technology Center, and we've been working on the issues of showing young children, young kids, that handicapped people can be in the school system, can actually do things that's beyond what they can think of, and to show them that there's an unlimited potential to what computers can do, whether you're handicapped or not. That potential can be realized if we envelop the technology.
Mm-hmm. And since it's so apparent on your head, maybe we should just start. Would you tell folks, what are you wearing?
Okay, I'm wearing what's called a headmaster. There's three receivers that come off that actually emit infrared signals. It's picked up by a receiver that I have over here to my left, and basically it triangulates like a mouse. When I move my head, it moves the mouse on the screen. So anything that you can do with a mouse, you can do with the headmaster. The object that's over here to the right of my mouth is a sip and puff switch that I can then collect. I can select, I can double click on things by just putting it in my mouth and sipping or puffing on it.
Well, in a minute, I'm hoping you could show us screen doors. Is that appropriate?
Yeah, very appropriate.
I'd like to, before you do that, I'd like to just remind people who are watching that they are welcome to phone in this evening. In fact, Sterling Chrysler, a friend of ours who is also with the Aloha Stack, who is a quadriplegic, uses sort of your competitor's equipment called the Head Mouse. Sterling was here in June, and I called him today and asked him to tune us in because he wants to see what you can do with yours, of course.
Well, maybe we should have a contest sometime to see who's faster at their mouse.
That's what I'm hoping. Well, meanwhile, Sterling and anyone else who is viewing this program, you are very welcome to give us a ring this evening. This is an open line, and our number here in Oahu is 946-0700. If you're on a neighbor island, our number is 1-800-342-7949. We would be delighted to entertain your questions and hear your comments. Thanks. Meanwhile, now, Richard, you've got a word processing program called Screen
I've got
Doors?
one that's called Screen Doors. It's a word processing on screen processing program and word predictor.
Well, let's just see if we can find that off of the camera, and maybe you could show that off.
Okay, here I have it's Screen Doors. It comes in different patterns. I like the Quarter Slim because it uses up less space and I can move it around.
Would you move it around for us so that we can begin to see this? Now, folks, Richard is moving a keyboard on his screen. Isn't that absolutely correct, Richard?
Yep, I can put it any place that I like it.
So that's a good place, actually, because then Don Cavello, our sign language interpreter, is perfectly visible, too. Could we get a word processing program up?
Okay, I'm going to open up Word, Microsoft Word, and we'll see what we can do. Here I go. I'm going to move Word down so that I can see.
Okay, now that's called dragging a window, and Richard has two windows up now. He's got his Screen Doors word processing program, and he's got Microsoft Word. Richard, could you make the font a little bit bigger on Microsoft Word, perhaps?
Sure.
Now again, he's moving his head so that he can drag the pointer tool. And now he's changing fonts by puffing on the sip and puff switch.
There's New York 18. You can have an innumerable number of fonts.
All right, that
And
looks big enough.
The size is only related to font you want.
A little bigger yet?
Yeah, just so it's easier.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you can see that it always says my name is Richard Radke. I use this to demonstrate things before.
Richard, could I actually give you a sentence and have you start to type?
Sure.
And I'm thinking, if we on the camera could get a nice tight look at the keyboard that Richard's using on his screen, we're going to see that that keyboard is going to start predicting what he's typing. So, Richard, how about hit a return key first? All right, we're down one more line. How about, let's type good afternoon. Now, to get a capital G, how do you do that?
Okay, I push down on the shift letter,
Okay.
the shift one, and I
And then you hit G, and I'm seeing that your computer is already guessing, and you're already ready to click on it. Would you move your point? Ah, you've clicked on it, okay. Notice Richard didn't type the word good. He typed the letter G. The computer guessed the word good, didn't it?
right, according to how many times you use things. Now, this comes in very helpful when you're writing scientific papers and you have long, somewhat convoluted scientific names. Basically, what I can do is, well, let me show you how about this one.
Yeah, let's see how this goes now.
I'm selecting screen doors, clicking a word, going in what's called word info. You can make that word come up more frequently or less frequently by moving the slider bar.
So if that's a word that you use quite a bit in your writing, then you're telling it, please make that a frequent guess.
Yeah, so it's such that if you were, let's say this time I'm using the word present, if you make it real high, every time you hit P, it'll come up with that one at least first.
Okay.
So if you have certain words that you want it to come up with more frequently, you can do that.
Well, could we go back and do good afternoon, thank you for watching. So you are going to delete the word place, and you're looking for a delete key. All right, you puffed on it. Good afternoon. You type an A. It hasn't guessed afternoon. It's got the word after, I notice. You went ahead and went for after. And now you're typing N, O, oh, it guessed it? Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for watching. You type a T. We're looking for the word thank. It isn't there yet. You type an H. There's thanks. We could live with that.
Thanks at the end.
Thanks for watching. F, it immediately guessed F-O-R. And would you mind, can you hit the return key so we can get the word watching more visible on the screen?
It's going to love this one.
Oh, that's okay. Now, once again, just to make sure we're getting the concept, Richard cannot use his hands to use a keyboard, so he is moving his head to click on letters, and the computer is guessing what it is he's typing. Now, Richard, just again to help us process this, why is the word prediction important?
Well, it keeps you from having to select so many letters, and you can actually type a lot faster. I do, on a lot of my manuscripts, I do all the editing with the onboard screenboard, and I've actually timed myself, and I can get up to almost 20 words a minute, especially if I have the word prediction set up right. Now, the word prediction has some good points and some bad points. The good point is that if you're a really poor speller, you can always, you can have those letters already in there. Now, the bad point is that if you always spell the word wrong every time, it'll predict it that way. So either way, you're going to be, you can use it that way. But if you can also wipe it out, you can also put different dictionaries. So let's say that you're using one to work on a particular fish, and you use a lot of the same names and different sentences in that. You can change that into a text file, import it into as a dictionary into this, and then use that for prediction. So it's got a lot of different, let's say, I was going to say plasticity, but that's a scientific term, but it's very movable to different streams.